A local swimmer is immersing herself in the world of competitive racing. Katie Hewitt, an Attleboro resident and YMCA swim coach, completed a 12.5-mile swim around Key West earlier this summer. This is just the beginning for Katie as she hopes to continue swimming in more challenging races. We spoke with her to learn more about her passion for the water and her future aspirations.
I was a competitive swimmer growing up. I lived in Attleboro. I went to Attleboro High School, did that for a little bit, got away from it for a little bit, and then kind of got back into it on my own, doing the master's program over at the Y. And then I restarted the master's program at the Attleboro Y, so I'm the head coach over there. And kind of just to get more publicity towards the master's team, I decided to go out and do something a little bit crazy, I guess you would say, and train for this. I've done open water swims before. I've done the Save the Bay, and I've done the Mashpee 5K swim. This is by far the longest one I've done, a 20K, and then I did a 10-mile after that. I definitely want to do some more longer distance ones. I have some 24 miles and 14 and 16 miles, but the race is 12.5 miles, it's 20K. It's circumnavigating the entire Key West Island. You start and finish on Smathers Beach, which is one of the public beaches there. You start from the beach and it's an in-water finish, and then you get your medal and stuff when you walk out. So there's about 200 people. Most people relay the event, so they have teams of 6 or 4 or 2, 3, 5, anywhere, and they just relay the whole thing where they rent a boat, and when one person gets tired, another person jumps in, and then they rotate in and out, and that seems to be the fun way to do it. And so most people do it that way. I did it solo, so there's a lot less people doing it that way then. The benefits went to the Key West Community College down there. There's another swim that happens the week after, but this one is sanctioned by the U.S. Coast Guard, and the other one's not. So not that we saw any Coast Guard down there, but it was nice to know that they were somewhere around. It is surreal because in a pool you know how long you have to swim for, how many lengths you have to do, and when you're in open water and you've never swam the course before, you really depend on your kayakers, which were my mother and father, really spotting and telling me where to go, and the race directors telling you where to go and plotting the course. My mom and dad, they were big helpers during this whole thing. I had to have a support team with me because anything over a 5K, you need to drink and eat during your swim. And since they don't have feeding stations, you have to have someone next to you providing you with what you trained with. So I had goo and like a couple of other drinks that they had to give to me on a timed schedule and direct me where to go. So without them, I wouldn't have been able to swim this. We had kind of a storm going through Key West Harbor, and well, you have pictures of the funnel clouds and all the crazy stuff that happened. So you do have unknown things like weather and tides. Definitely by the end of it, I was done with marine life, and I greatly appreciated aquariums because it saw some nurse sharks, some jellyfish, some pretty large fish. And for this race, you actually see most of the bottom. It's only through Key West Harbor, which is the southernmost point. That's the deepest, between 10 feet and 20 feet. That's the deepest point, and the rest of it you can actually see the bottom. So it's not as nice as everybody would like you to think. It's said to be one of the easier swims because it's tidal assisted for most of the way. However, they timed the tides wrong this year. So we actually got stuck in a tide and swam in place for about an hour and a half at about mile 6. I swim because I get to set personal goals. Not a lot of people, even on the master's team, would venture out and do this kind of swim. I can't run anymore. I don't do triathlons, so it's a good goal, personal goal to set. And I definitely want to go back, so I have some swimmers who want to try it next year. And it's a love of the sport and getting other people to try it. I do teach the masters, so I get a variety of levels. I get people who are just starting triathlons, who haven't been in a pool in 10 years. And I have people who have done Ironmans, but their worst part of their triathlon is the swim, so they really want to improve upon that. So the satisfaction that I get helping them train is that I have people come in and they can't swim one length of the pool. And in a couple months they have to swim a quarter of a mile or half a mile or a mile. And after they do that and they can swim, one of my workouts, which is usually a mile long, then they are excited and they want to go and try, Olympic triathlons. Being able to expand your horizons if you are an athlete, and I've had a lot of athletes that come in and they used to run and they used to bike and they really can't do it as intense as they did before, so now they're supplementing it with swimming. One of my swimmers, Paul, wants to do the Key West swim next year, so I'm going to start training with him and helping him along. So if he goes down and does it solo, then I'll do it solo with him again, because now I know how to swim it, so I don't get stuck in that tide. It's a lot of pool time. They call it a weekend warrior, and anybody who's done marathons or, you know, any amount of biking and things like that, you do kind of your short distances during the week, and then swimming, it was 4, 5, 6 hours in the pool given at a time, where you really put on your miles. Start gradually 4 miles and start 6 for a couple weeks, 8, and then I actually did swim my 12 miles in the pool, and that was just for me. I knew that I had to do it for, you know, mental sake, to know that I could do it. At 6 miles, I was at 2 hours and 15 minutes, and I finished in 7.5 hours. So some people train for 5 hours, but when you swim open water, you never know what you're going to hit. So it's not really good to train for time. The Key West swim is obviously one of those kind of high endurance ones. There's so many other races that are a mile, a 500 yards, quarter mile, half mile, that are just swims. So you don't have to be a triathlete, you don't have to be a major swimmer, you don't have to be fully dedicated, but you do have that accomplishment of a lot of people that are adults don't do open water swims. They don't swim that amount of time, never mind in the ocean or a pond or a lake. So it is satisfying. It's very gratifying to be able to say I've gone out and done that. And a lot of people that I take out and they do another one of these races with me, they usually say, when's the next one? I want to do the next one. So it is a bug that bites you, and I like to be a part of that kind of movement.